survive. Join us on a virtual flight, where the sky is our limit tonight. Wings spread wide, we reach for the stars. In the realm of flight, we'll never be far. Bow is splashing, engines burning. In this world of free from the atmosphere, throttle wide open, throttle wide open. We dive and climb in this digital ocean. Lights flicker, the world so vast. Every turn a new adventure starts. From the ground to the highest peak in the world of flight, we're just beginning to speak. Join us on a virtual flight, where the sky is our limit tonight. Wings spread wide, we reach for the stars. In the realm of flight, we'll never be Through the storm, through the calm, in this world we face it all. From the runway to the final glide, in the world of flight we find our stride. Join us on a virtual flight, where the sky is our limit tonight. Wings spread wide, we'll reach for the stars. In the realm of flame, we'll never be far. Join us on a virtual flight, where the sky is our limit tonight. Wings spread wide, we'll reach for the stars. In the realm of flight, we'll never be far.
Hello, 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 and welcome to another live stream by Virtual Flight Diaries. We are here in Peru, actually. This is going to be leg one of our Amazon River tour in the Douglas DC-3. This is the Asobo DC-3 with the Duckworks mod. And we got Drug Billy's in the chat. Hello, hello, welcome to the stream. I see you over there flying along, although I think you're in a DC-3 and the model matching isn't working very well. But thanks for coming along, and glad to have you aboard. All right, so we're here, Duckworks mod. This is one of my favorite planes to fly. It's not perfect. It still has some default aspects to it, but the Duckworks mod makes it really enjoyable to fly. So we're the classic version. We're going to be flying to Colonel Francisco Cicada Vigneta Airport in Iquitos, Peru, which is going to be the first leg of our Amazon journey. As we kind of heading out over the Andes Mountains and then across some Amazon jungle to where the Mekong and the Amazon rivers meet at Iquitos, and that's where we're going to start our journey. So this whole series is going to be about 1,850 nautical miles, plus or minus a few, and it's going to be fun. We're going to do it all in the DC-3. And yeah, so let's get on board. Let's get started. Let's get fired up. Get these radials warming up and ready to go. This is going to be a simple flight. We're going direct to Iquitos, VOR. which is about 300 nautical miles away, plus or minus. Of course, I don't have the exact numbers. I think it's 308 nautical miles from where we're at. So we're not going to be able to pick up any kind of radio beacon until we get closer. So we're going to, we're just going to dead reckon it. So we're going to take off and we're going to turn out to a heading of 66 degrees. And we're going to follow that out until we pick up the VOR. And that should be about 40 nautical miles from our airport. Holden, hey, welcome to the stream of chat. How is it going? It is going great. It is going great. So do a little dead reckoning, and maybe we'll try to make some adjustments. It's going to be hard to do a visual adjustment for wind correction because we're just going to be over flat jungle most of the way. But our initial climb out is going to be 15,000 feet to try to get over the Andes Mountains. And then once we're past the mountain range, we're going to drop down to about 5,000 feet above the jungle. And it should be a very fun flight. So let's get aboard. Let's get on board. Let's get fired up. So, like I said, we are here at, I didn't say where we were at. We're at SPPY-SPQT, Peru. And it's about 8,200 feet up. So this kind of makes Denver look like small potatoes in altitude. And we're a little heavy. We're about 22,000 pounds. So high and heavy in the DC-3, but this airport does have a long runway. So it shouldn't be too difficult. All right, so first things first, we're going to open up the windows so we can hear what's going on. I'm on VATSIM as well as multiplayer server. We are on the East Coast if you're flying along, or the East US server if you're flying along. But no ATC on. Definitely would have rathered some chatter, but because the airline I'm using, the Real Avieros, was shut down in 1963. I think the history of it was. There's no ICAO code, so it was easier to go on the network. So it'll be quiet, but it'll still be fun. All right, so we got to get some things going. So entering the cockpit originating checklist. Weight and balance is set and checked. Battery is off. We're on battery cart. All switches are off. As you can see. Good, good. All right. All switches are off. Radios are off. Main ignition is pulled out. Magnetos are off. Parking brake is set. And we'll close everything up and remove the chocks. Tail wheel is locked. Trim is neutral. Autopilot is off. Crossfeed is off. Gear handle is down. That is the down position. And flap handle is flaps up and neutral. So this is the neutral position. Our flaps are up, as indicated by the wing flap lever. Our hydraulic reservoir, we go over here real quick and check that. It's a visual reservoir. You can see the red ball is to the top, so we got hydraulic fluid, and the hydraulic selector is to the aft. So entering cockpit checklist complete. All right. So let's get our flow so we get started up. All right, fire door comes open. And we're going to open up the hydraulic valve, and we are going to prime the hydraulics. And that looks good. It's going into the green. And then we can open up our cowl flaps, and our brakes will pressurize. So that's good. So next on the list of things to do is we set our fuel tanks to main. I'm only using the mains. We don't need to fuel up for auxiliaries. I mean, this has enough gas where we could actually do this whole trip nonstop if we wanted to, but it would take us probably 10 hours, maybe about 9 hours to do. I'm going to be cruising at about 160 miles per hour, which is around almost 200 knots. All right, so that's all set up. Let's get to the controls cam so you guys can kind of see what I'm doing here. All right, so we put the fuel mixtures into auto lean. So this doesn't have mixtures like you would have in a conventional airplane. This has a auto fuel system. It's a series of mechanical valves and venturi tubes that regulate the air fuel mixture to the engine. Actually, it's just the fuel entry into the engine. You got auto lean, auto rich, and you got full rich. Full rich is rarely used in normal flight. So we have our fuel, which is the red handles. We have our RPMs, which is the prop position. And then we have the throttles, which actually don't regulate fuel. They regulate air into the engine. That's the way a DC-3 works. So they manage the pressure in the engine. So manifold pressure. We have our props managing the engine RPMs, and then we have our fuel flow managed by our mixture levers. All right, beacon light can come on, and our position lights are on. We're going to do a cart start so we have some battery juice. All right, so that's good. That's good. That looks good. Let's check our fuel. Tanks are good. That's much fuel on board. 606 pounds on each side and balanced. Do a little magic barrel ref here, about 8,300. That's correct. So yeah, I think we're ready to go for our before start engine start checklist. All right, we'll just go run through the procedures here. We got fuel booster pumps on. Fuel pressure will then be checked. Energize the engine 10 seconds, 30 seconds max. Mesh the engines. Count 12 props. Magnetos to both, then primer on, and then once it catches, auto rich. So the Duckworks mod itself doesn't have a realistic engine start. The guys that I think it's Captain Mustache, I think his name is, does make a realism mod where you can do a proper engine start. So these are actually supposed to be after you prime the engine and then you put them in idle cutoff, and then you use the residual fuel in the engine to fire it up. And once they fire up, then you advance them forward. He does make a mod that that does that. It's just that I don't have it because for the long, I think it's currently 2024, but for the longest time it didn't work in 2024. So I still don't have it installed. So we're going to do it the Duckworks way, which is we start from auto lean. All right, so generator's off, fuel pump comes on. I like to go make sure I can access that. So the engine primer, from my understanding, like I gathered, this doesn't introduce fuel. Okay. What this does is actually when you hit this switch, it showers the cylinders with sparks, which increases the chance for light off. So that's what that does. All right, so energizing right. We'll count out to 10. Advance to auto rich. And we'll let that engine come up. Back it off just a little bit. Oh, so that's cool. You have the levers? Yeah. I really like the DC-3. I went out and got the levers for it. This really is truly one of my favorite planes in real life and in the sim. So I'm actually very happy that that we can use this and that the Duckworks mod made it palatable, because it was horrible without it. But my dream is to actually have a study level DC-3 to fly in the sim. Just don't think it's going to happen. All right, so just that's purring along, and we'll let you warm up. You don't want to run it too hard, because all that oil needs to warm up and splash around the engine. So although there's no failures in this, you probably could run it to death and it wouldn't fail, but you don't want to take that chance. All right, so reset. All right, right generator on, fuel pump off. Just a little bit. You want it about 1,000 RPMs. Lock you. So what this lever does, it locks out the carb heats, so they can't be moved. Or because this plane, if we were in the real cockpit, like, you can see this is just vibrating the hell. This whole cockpit would be vibrating with this engine roaring. And these levers can all walk. That's why there's all like locking mechanism release on these more essential controls to lock them in, so they don't walk themselves out of their position. All right, that's good. Let's go. Number 2, boost pump on. Energizing left. Count to 10. And we'll mesh you. 3, 6, 9, 12. That's number 2. That's 2 good starts. Fuel pump on. And left generator on. On. Tails to bright. Avionics can come on. Battery on, off the cart. But Billy says they look good. Yeah, they're nice. I got these off of ProDesSim. ProDesSim makes these. You know, ProDesSim's a little overpriced, but these weren't too bad because there's nothing really to them. But they were still in the 50 some range. But it's really cool to actually have like the big levers with the ball on them. It's nice. All right, so we're gonna go 116.50. It's gonna be our VR. We're not gonna catch that until 40 miles out. Let's set our SPPY for 66. That's going to be our turnout. That stuff's all uncaged. That looks okay. We're looking good. All right, we're good there. So let's see, 7,000. We'll go with that. Yo, Limp, welcome to the stream. Hey, I wanted to join you for the flight, but I can't learn how to fly that plane. I don't think I have the brain power for it. Funny thing is, I think I lost those brain cells in Philadelphia. Oh, I get that. I get that. I lost a lot of Pink Floyd show, so. All right, so that's not doing mode C. That's not cool. Okay, ident works, but mode C doesn't work. Oh, there we go. Mode C. I went too far. Went too far. It's actually, once you get the hang of everything, yeah, join with something else, Rutlimp. All you need is something that can fly to 15,000 feet and take off at 8,000 and do a true airspeed between 160 and 200 knots. I mean, there's time. I got to let these engines warm up. But that's okay if you don't want to. But I'm telling you, I don't know. Once you get the hang of this plane and once you get the knowledge of how things like go together and how they work, it's actually pretty easy. All right, after start flow, we got it's on passing lights, heat. USA Prior One. Hey, good afternoon. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Long time no see. I didn't know that mod worked in 2024. Yeah, sometime the middle of last year they got it sorted out. I say, yeah, I don't know how to fly a plane that does all that. I could follow you in an Airbus, or if you followed us in an Airbus, we would meet you over at Quitos. But yeah. All right, so after start and taxi checklist, inverters on, radios are on and tuned. Got, let's see, 122, 8. Zenlip said, besides, I forgot you were flying today, and I took a flight from Delta, Salt Lake City to Denver. Oh, all right, cool. Hey, that's nice too. That is nice too. That's going to be all next week because I got to catch up on my virtual airlines. So next week's schedule is going to be all virtual airline catch up. All right, so after start checklist, altimeters are set, gyros set and uncaged, tail wheel unlocked, lights are on, and parking brake is off for taxi. After takeoff, or after taxi, or before taxi checklist. And we have the after takeoff checklist. All right, so just a brief, we are high and somewhat heavy. So we are going to do a boosted takeoff. We are going to use the supercharger boosters so that we have all the power available that we can at this altitude. And we are going to go, most of the time, no flaps are indicated, but because we are high and heavy, we're going to do some flaps so we can get that lift at 80 knots, because we're going to probably be lifting off just right at VR, and then we're going to be holding that. But all right, so it looks like we are all ready. We are squawking, walking, and talking. We're on the network. No ATC, but that's okay. I think I said that before. Anyway, all right. Real 556, taxiing to runway 13. Yapawas. Traffic. I can't. Man, I am butchering that. Well, anyway, parking brake released. Up here. So it's a pre-castering tail wheel. That other Duckworks mod does allow you to simulate, or the realism mod from Duckworks allows you to simulate free castering. This doesn't have that. Where am I orientated here? I think I passed my turnaround point. Probably going through there we are. Yeah, all I had to go was to the left. What the hell am I doing? Jagapoy's traffic, Rio 556, back taxi runway 13. Chapoy. Best I can do. Glad there is nobody online to hear that. We are heavy. 22,000 pounds. VR is about 85 knots. Yeah, it got back just in time for takeoff. Yeah. Come on, guys. Isn't that cool? That looks so cool. Miles per hour is what I got. Miles per hour. It's a pretty long runway here. I think it's 2,500 meters. I mean, it needs a long runway, especially, you know, South America. It's usually warm, humid, uh, and we're at 8,300 feet. So slow her down, slow her down. All right, tail wheel locked. Cow flaps to trail. Windows closed. And landing light comes on. All switches look good. All right, so it does get a little squirrely when the tail comes up. I'm going to try my best to keep her on the runway. But like I said, we're going to do a boosted takeoff. Now, the thing you have to worry about with a boost, with turning the boosts on, is that we can actually overboost the engines. We can't really do it in this plane, but in the real world, you can do this takeoff, but you got to be careful. All right, so, and that's right, I said flaps quarter. And we're ready to go. All right, guys, let's spool them up. Spool them up. I've been doing too many jets. All right, 30 manifold. Good, all in the green. Except for a carb error, just a little on the low side, but we're still good. All right, ready? Toga's in the chat. Bring it up to 46. That allows us still some reserve power to overboost if we had to. Airspeed's alive. Do a little rudder dance. Dance, dance, dance. Come on, stay center line. There we go. Up we go. That's positive rate. Gear up. Let's get back in the cockpit before we crash. All right, we're going to keep it up just a little bit until we gain some speed. Real shallow. Chacapoyas, traffic, Rio 556, just departed runway 13. Last call, Chacapoyas. Once we're stable, there's 100 knots. We can bring the flaps in. And we're going to bring it down to 42 on the manifold. 25 on the RPMs. That's METO power, which is maximum extended takeoff power, I believe that stands for. All right, we can come back here and put that into the forward hydraulic position. So the hydraulics are now running off of the left engine pump. Now we can run the autopilot. Nothing like going into the mountains where you really can't see them too well. So we're just going to try to gain a little bit of altitude, and then we'll turn out on course. We're looking good. Our minimum climb speed is 120 knots, so we're looking good with that. Trim it out just a little bit. There's 10,000 feet. Let's put the autopilot on and dial you up. So I use a MobiFight profile for why am I descending? Come on. We don't want to descend here. There we go. All right. To adjust the SPPY. So I'm just adjusting the pitch to try to get her to about 1,000. Keeping METO power in because we're high. We want to keep the speed up. All right, now we can make our turnout. 66 is our heading for our dead reckoning. That was a cool shot. Not going to lie. So we'll be a little more aggressive on the climb. Just watching the speed because it's going to start bleeding off the higher we get. But we want to try to get up to that 15,000 mark as high because these mountains in the Andes are crazy high. So, and with these clouds, I want to make sure I'm high enough that we don't end up into the side of a mountain. Slink over here. The mountain ridges are a little more shallow. I'll bring it down just a little bit. So as you can see, the gyro SPPY autopilot, when I adjust that, you see that the pitch indicator moves up and down. So I'm just moving up, just up and down slightly to kind of just keep our pitch in the right angle. So we're going to have to come down just a little bit. Let's give it some more boost. I want to be at 40. RPMs are good. Let's bring that back just a little bit. All right, there's 13,000 feet. If I can make my just be aware of the surroundings. Am I going to make my my mark to clear that? I want to try to keep it at 120 so we don't start losing energy. Because then we'll have to actually put the nose down to gain speed back. All right, guys, I'd like to welcome everybody aboard this flight. We are going from SPPY, and the reason I went ICAO is because I really am butchering that name and I feel bad, to Iquitos in Peru. This is going to be the starting leg of our journey down the Amazon River in a DC-3. Going very old school with this. We don't have any modern avionics. We are VOR only, and we can't even nav, follow the nav radio signal. It is all radio needle indicated. We're just very slowly climbing up to our 15,000 foot mark. Let's clear this mountain ridge. All right. After takeoff, climb checklist, brakes. Or say gear up and locked, flaps up as required, fuel boost, pumps off, manifold pressure 42, propellers green band, landing lights off. That's right, we got to shut them off. Landing lights off, cow flaps trail, climb speed 120. We're starting to level off here at 15,000. So we good? Little mountain turbulence, getting tossed a little bit. All right, we are in cruise phase now at 15,000 feet. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the mixtures back to auto lean, and you do this one at a time, and you kind of just feeling for or listening for the engine to keep running. You don't want the you want to see if auto lean is working. If not, we'd have to put it back into auto rich so we don't lose an engine. All right, mixtures are set. Let's set cruise power. Just to see the gauges easier. So we'll go manifold pressure. We'll bring it down to 30. Actually, let's do 31. We got plenty of fuel. And RPMs can come down to 21. Do 21. Let's do, it's still blue band. Let's do 22. Do 75% power. And we'll synchronize them up. That looks good. Now we are cruise power set. Come over here. We double check our fuel. Make sure we don't have a leak. That looks good. All the instruments are in the green. Oil temperature's a little on the high side, but I think that's a bug. Because some of these power settings aren't perfect. Like I said, it still has some of its default quirks. That's looking good. We're at 170 knots across the ground, 176 knots across the ground, 160 miles an hour. So, and according to Navigraph, we are true at 170 knots. So, a little bit of a tailwind. Not much though. But we are cruising and everything's looking good. So let's get some tunes on. Let's see where Billy's at. Should be coming up behind us. Yes. Nice. That's a good separation, 13 miles. So we're going to stay at 15,000 until we clear the mountain range. That'll be about 40 miles or so, and then we're going to dip down and cruise out along the jungle. Still don't get the gyro pilot? Well, it's a bit of... So let me see if I can explain it as best that I know. It's very primitive. So what this is this is an elevator adjustment trim and aileron adjustment trim. So you get roll and pitch. This adjusts this white indicator here. See, we can actually, this is what I should have done on the ground. This is our plane. You can set it in the middle here so we know we're in level flight. And what I've done is, you can see it'll bounce around. It's not perfect, but it trims out the plane using a gyroscope. And this white bar indicates whether we're up or down. So when we decrease it, we're actually going to climb up because the airplane's going up above the ground. And when we increase it, it's going to drop. So what we do is we just slowly dial it in, and that's why I use the Airbus FCU from WinWing or Wind Control, and the generic a modified generic planes profile, or it could be just the generic planes profile. I forget. It's just, I've had it forever. Actually adjusts this. So we climb up and we're just constantly adjusting it, monitoring, it's like I said, it's not a perfect thing. You want to trim the plane out first before you engage the autopilot. And also you want to make sure this is in the forward position. So you pitch it for climb. Now this is, the way this works is the top number is your setting. Okay. So say we set it to 6. Okay. The gyroscope wants to keep a constant state of normal. So it's going to roll the plane to the right until the gyroscope equalizes. And when it equalizes, it'll be at 6. So that's how that works. So the top number is your preset. The bottom number is the actual heading that you're flying at. Now, a properly modeled one actually would need adjustment. You would need to sync this with your compass, but this is a more simplified model. This is your on-off. And that's pretty much it. It's a heading and pitch kind of thing. You can roll. You can't just do a roll using the aileron trim, but I found that that doesn't work as good. So if I have to do a roll, I'll just disconnect this and just hand fly the plane. This plane hand flies great. And so I'll say, were you saying the other day that there was glass cockpit mods for the plane or no? No, I think, what was I talking about that had glass cockpits? Oh, I think we were in the Comanche. And I was saying that the Comanche had glass cockpits. Was it? I do know that some privately owned DC-3s have glass cockpits. I know Randazzo's DC-3 had a GTN 750, and it was all decked out. Nobody uses this autopilot anymore. Nobody. These are just museum pieces. Huh. I don't know what's going on there. You're trim, but the nose still drops. I want to show you, but I got it just settled. And it's really finicky. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you have to constantly monitor it because you can see my nose kind of want to drops, but it kind of bounces back and forth. I don't know what's going on there, Billy. I mean, it has a tendency to fluctuate into the down position. As you can see, when we took off and I was trying to adjust it, we were descending. Well, hand flying it is. I don't know. I wish I could help you out there. I don't know what's causing that. I mean, luckily this plane hand flies pretty good. Hope it's maybe it's not zeroed. You try using this fine adjustment on the elevator. I don't want to get you all screwed up. I think this, if I'm correct, moves the orange. That might be just to gauge the pitch. Maybe I'm wrong. You know this does the roll. Yeah, that happened to me. I had to really run it up when I took off and engaged the gyro. I had to really run it up pretty good. I mean, the white arc was down here, or the white circle was down here, just to get it back into climb. And then it gets finicky. I do, like, when I initially engage it, I do some pretty big movements because it's very slow to react. And then once it's finally reacting to the gyro pilot, I then I do that more finer adjustment, and it seems to work out for me. So I don't need to be in trail anymore. So we close the cow flaps. Probably help out with our temps a little bit. They're on the low side. So you close, you count to, I count to 5. So when you put them in the closed position, the hydraulics energize to close the cow flaps. After they've closed, you want to take the pressure off the hydraulic lines by dumping it into the off position. And then now the hydraulic lines have depressurized and the cow flaps are closed. I'm not paying attention to my dead reckoning. We're off. Guarantee you we're off. Cheat, look at nav. Yeah, we're off. I was only supposed to be at that heading for about a minute or two. Got this lazy Dutch roll going here. So this is our mark. This is the Amazon jungle. What we're going to do is we're going to slowly start our descent. Power back just a little bit. Let's bring it down to 30 on the manifold. And let's dial it in. See the pitch reference, it went up, and then the whole thing comes together. And once it's all aligned, you could check that, you know, everything's in alignment and we're at where you want, about 500-600. It'll bounce around in between 500 and 600. As you can see, when I did that, the white line went up and then it just all synchronized up. And that's the gyro effect of the autopilot, where it all wants to get back to its normal, equalized. It's physics. So there is no autopilot approaches really with this. So once we get lined up with our runway, and it looks like we're coming in runway 6 for our arrival. Once we get all lined up with the runway, we actually have to DC the autopilot and hand fly the approach. With this, with the gyroscope, there's no let's use the gyroscope to fly the ILS or anything like that. It's just not accurate enough. You know, if you had the modern cockpit, which there is a modern cockpit with modern GPS, I think there's a GTN or a GNS 3 or 530 and a regular K150 autopilot. That does coupled ILS approaches. Does not do RNAV or LPV, but it does do a coupled ILS approach. And the one that I fly for myself, I have a Pan Am that I fly, you know, off stream and everything like that. And I fly it around the sim. I go modern cockpit because the way I look at it is this: I'm not gonna own this plane and have the gauges like this. I really only stream this system because, you know, when I fly the planes, I'm just, you know, flying them kind of in a pretend way that I would own this plane, and I of course would have modern avionics in it. So I do fly the modern versions. And yeah, it does make it simpler. I could follow Magenta Line. I could follow Airways. You could easily fly this on VATSIM in the modern cockpit. You could fly it on VATSIM right now. It's just that your slant, I forget what it is. It's not slant alpha because we don't have DME, but whatever the basic filing would be. See something here. No, we're not going to mess with that online. All right. Just looking at some Streamlabs stuff. So we're still coming around 500 to 600 feet per minute. It'll bounce around. Like I said, it's not a very accurate autopilot. And it never was. Like the real one wasn't. To be honest with you, from what I read in books from like Ernest Gann and other DC-3 pilots from the Golden Age, those books and stories, and none of them even mentioned autopilots. They never even flew. They're doing exactly what Billy's doing right now. This SPPY was a very expensive add-on, and most airlines didn't pay for it. So back in the day, all pilots really did was that were flying the line, just hand flew it all. Yeah. It said, okay, so it's got the gyro working. Problem is, I don't know how I did it. Well, it's cool that you got it. You finally got it to start working for you. And what it said, workload reducer, but only a maybe. Yeah, you still had to really model, fly the plane and everything like that. They didn't get a more modern. SPPY didn't start coming into more modern, because this technology was 1940. We're talking 1938, 39, 40. SPPY came up with a better autopilot with the within the mid to late 40s. The autopilot that the DC-6 had, the DC-4 were a little better. They still weren't great. Modern autopilots didn't really come into play until the late 60s, 70s. And SPPY was making autopilots all the way to things. So like the 727, the Boeing 727 has a SPPY made autopilot. Yeah, they reduced the workload, but from what I gathered from the pilots, especially like Ernest Gann, he said it was more work to keep the autopilot working than it was to just trim the plane out and hand fly it. Because if we were truly modeled, we'd have gyro drift, which then would affect this. So we'd have to constantly be aligning that with the compass, making sure all that's together. Not that you wouldn't be doing that anyway, but now you couldn't correct it on the fly. You had to just constantly be monitoring your instruments and everything. So I could see how it actually, something that was created to decrease workload, maybe in some aspects increase the workload for the pilots. And that's why they would work in shifts. So like when they would fly this, like during the war, and do the transatlantic flights and the stretch from Goose Bay to Iceland, it's like 1,500 nautical miles, and you'd be flying for hours and hours and hours. They'd take turns. Captain, I'd hand fly it for an hour or so, and then the first officer would fly it for an hour or so. Then maybe a relief guy would come up and fly it, and they would, because it was just a lot of work. I just had my first go around in a long time in Denver. Oh no. Crosswind? Was it it's real windy out there? That's usually what gets me at Denver's crosswinds. Denver and Vegas usually have some serious winds. So you can see our manifold pressure. That's something I wasn't monitoring, talking about that. You see our manifold pressure start to climb as we come down. So there's actually going to be a moment where we're going to shut the boost off, and that's when we get below 8,000 feet. No, it was, I got complacent because I fly here all the time and I started to land on the wrong runway. Oh. You notice too late, couldn't sidestep to the right one. So I've done that, but I just kind of did like a little, it's usually like, hey, I was supposed to land 15 left, I'm on 15 right. And I'll just like sidestep to 15. Denver's got, I guess it depends on what runway. No, I noticed when I start reading, yeah, that's go around mode. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, it's too late to do anything there. The old me would have just landed. That's what I get for watching your stream and flying a plane at the same time. Well, I've done my job. I was entertaining enough to almost make you land on the wrong runway. That's all right. I've done that. I've overshot top of descents, watching people stream while flying. I've blown through crossing restrictions. It's probably why you really shouldn't fly distracted. All right, so I'm letting the boost come up. So I'm not adjusting it anymore. Because when we go below 8,000 feet, if I was to dial this back, because we're already boosted, if I was to dial this back to like say 30 and then drop the boost, we could actually lose manifold pressure. So I'm just going to, as we climb down or descend down through our altitude here, I'm going to just let the boost come up, and then I'll kill these, and then it should bring us down around 30. If not, it's not going to take all the boost off of the plane, so that we actually lose manifold pressure. The opposite is true when boosting the plane. Now we took off boosted, so we didn't need it. But if, say, I took off at sea level and I was climbing up through 10,000 feet, whatever, and I had it, you're going to see it, it's going to start coming back. And if I had it at the stops at 35 and through these boost handles, it would overboost the plane. So you're going to want to level the plane out. You never do it in a climb. This is even with the DC-6 or anything. You level out, bring it back, and then hit the boost levers, and then you can bring it up to the manifold pressure that you want. That's the procedure with that. The old me before Limp got a hold of me. That's right. That's right. You made me a better pilot, Limp. And who says that busting someone's chops enough won't get them to start doing it right? All right, guys. So we're at 35. So you're going to see here, we're at 35 manifold pressure at the setting. We're going to shut down the boost. You see? drop down to 25. And then all I got to do is now we just give it some more. But you could see that we would have dropped down well below 20 on the manifold pressure if we powered back. So that's why. Now, do not say that this is real world procedure, because I don't know. This is just what I do out of common sense. Now, I know that I can't kill my engines. I could bring these back to idle. You'll hear the gear horn, but they'll still turn. In the real world, if you lost all that, it's very possible you could shut the engine off. So we don't want quiet engines. We don't like quiet engines. We want these radials to be nice and loud. Lower than I'd like. Seem to have burned a little more fuel than we should have. Should be okay. Even with the go round, 92 out of 94, 1.4 max bank. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're really strict with those. It's weird. Like real world, it's not that precise, I don't think. One point for that elusive distance, which I don't understand. Yeah, I never understood what that meant either. Like, do they want you to go direct or something? I don't understand what that is. 151, nice. That's a nice line. Yeah, so tomorrow's stream, if you guys haven't noticed, I didn't schedule it yet. So I got some, it's not totally bad news. I know Limp's gonna bust my chops for it, but I might not be able to stream tomorrow as scheduled. So I might have to do something with the grandbaby, which of course trumps the stream. And hang on one second, we're coming up on 5,000, so I got to make some adjustments. So I didn't schedule the stream because I might not be able to do it. So it might just end up being a pop-up stream. If not, I'll just have to postpone it. We'll try to do it over the weekend. I do have to work this weekend though. But grandbaby does trump things. But yeah, the tomorrow afternoon stream is looking real slim on whether I can do it or not, guys. So I do apologize for that. But we are definitely going to be taking 240 Mike down to Ocracoke. It's a neat little airport down on the lower ends of the Outer Banks. But I think it, if anything, it would be Saturday night if I have to postpone. You know, it's okay to just cancel and say you're canceling it. No, I have things. Of course, it's okay to say cancel it. I don't want to fly for you guys anymore. No. You know how laid back we are. Yeah, I still don't like doing it for you. I plan things. You know, try to be punctual, but my son called me and I might have to actually babysit. So could take her along for the flight, I guess, right? I don't know how hard it would be to babysit, to have a baby on. She would grab the yoke or something. I know it. Plus, I wouldn't be able to have the camera on. Well, you have got stuff to do. You got to do it. Yep. That is correct, sir. But I was trying to figure out where our next point in our heading south would be. And I was looking at the Outer Banks again, because it's a good decent distance to stretch the legs a little bit of the Comanche. And I'm like, I'm not going back to the Wright brothers. We did that in the Aerostar. Although I could do a redemption one because that landing was bad. But I was on Flight Sim TO looking at airports and I saw Ocracoke and it looked really cool. So that's where we're going. That's peak content if the baby grabs the yoke and almost makes it crash. Yeah. It's just a matter of time until you need to teach her to fly. Absolutely. Absolutely. She is going to grow up with planes, that's for sure. Yeah, don't make me bring up Kitty Hawk. Yeah, that's why it's kind of a little PTSD thing there going with Kitty Hawk. So we're not going to Kitty Hawk. Ocracoke. It's a nice little single strip or a single runway with heavy crosswinds. So that should make for an interesting approach. So this is the Maricon River. That is the flight that was the ultimate one where I said from now on we're doing go-arounds. Yes, that was the turning point. Said it's all about the educational crashes. That's right. Got to learn from them. So Kitty Hawk, I became unstable. I had a very, very bad habit of just trying to recover. And we almost went off the runway live on stream. Very, very close. It's very possible that the mains may have left it just slightly. It was bad. It was very bad. And I vowed from that point on that if it was not good, we were not going to land anymore. And I've stayed true. I've stayed true. Well, it said, it's okay. That Memphis flight is when I learned that lesson. We all get them. Nobody becomes a seasoned captain on calm seas, right? Isn't that the saying? I'll give you that. You've stayed true. It's always been a year. Yes. Yeah, I think that was the summer of last year. And nope, we're going around has become my new vocabulary. And it's actually made for better because, like, let's take the Rio landing. Made the mistake, hit the go around button, powered up. It was just horrible. It did have a gut reaction that maybe we could salvage it. Saw that we were halfway down the runway. That was not going to be good. You're not going to be able to stop in 1,500 feet. To go around, and look, we came back. It was a nice landing, redemption landing. For your information, hold it 79 hours for Fly Delta Virtual. Nice. Hey, how many hours on VATSIM do you have? Because they can add that to your count too. Yeah, I'm learning. I learned a valuable lesson. It's better to just go around and make the better landing than try to salvage a bad one. Bad landings it'll just not end well. It'll look terrible. I don't know how many times on stream that my landings looked like crap because I would just try to just salvage everything. I made mistakes. Yeah, do it because you'll get bumped up to. Let's see, you have 100 with 79 hours. That you'd be almost senior first officer, if not senior first officer rank. Well, see, here's the way I look at it, Holden. So part of you wants, to tough it out and for the challenge. You have 100 hours on VATSIM. That's, that's real world, that's real sim experience. And I don't see there anything wrong with transferring that over. Stuff like that counts in the real world. If you had 1,500 hours on a beach baron and took your ATP, became a airline transport pilot and applied to the airlines, they would type rate you on the 737 as a first officer, and all your experience was with a beach baron 58. You have 300 hours on VATSIM? Yeah, and I think the transfer 250. You might actually make captain if it compounds, right? Because you're how many hours on a Fly Delta do you have? $79, $250. You'd be almost captain. You could fly the A350. Of course, what would be cool is, I think we're going way off course here, so make a slight adjustment. Should be more along the river, and we're out over the jungle. Yeah, so what is that, senior captain? Any of the classics they have, and like you got to be really up there in rank. Yeah, next week we should be flying the A300 to do some, because it's going to be virtual airline week for me to get caught up. And one of them is UPS virtual air carrier is one airline, I think, and A300. Of course, if my levers come in for the MD-11, we're probably in that though. I did order the Bravo levers for the MD-11. So Lib says, when I was taken off from Salt Lake City today, there was about 3 Europeans there, and all of them were on Unicom. I got on Unicom and yelled at them for not using CTAF frequencies. I got mad. I had enough. Get off my lawn. Yeah, I don't. So, do they not use CTAF for anything it's the control tower, right? I don't understand why they haven't implemented the VAT, European VAT, the CTAF rule. They've expanded it to the Caribbean, but not to South America and the rest of the world. I don't understand that one. Yeah, Sky Team Captain rank is when you get the A300. 1,200 hours. They really don't want you flying the classics, do they? I don't think I've ever had 1,200 hours in a virtual airline. There's not a lot of places to land out here. No. That's some dense jungle. I don't know. I downloaded this mod, the Bijan tree mod for the sim, and I don't know if I notice any real difference. Yeah, just here, North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. Why not the rest of the world? Is it not a thing? If it's not a thing, then why not make it universal and just do Unicom, like they used to have it? A lot of people buck that, so they didn't really want that to happen. You land in that jungle, it'd be like romancing the stone. Yeah, it'd be a long walk to Iquitos. But at least we would have the river to follow. That's if the jungle canopy didn't destroy the plane. You want to stick to the river because there's probably, like, this looks like probably a good landing spot, etc., etc. Especially considering I'm not really liking that our fuel is really low, and I don't know why that is. Put another log on the fire. Yeah. I don't want to go too. What are we at? 160 knots across the ground. 45 minutes left. We have 600 pounds of fuel. We'll be okay. I don't want to dump more fuel in there. Yeah, now we've hit a headwind. That's what the problem is. So listen, me personally, I could do without CTAF, but I understand why it's there. I've read all the explanations. I get it. I get why it's there, why they're doing it. It's just, I don't know. It's confusing for a lot of people. We could catch some piranhas. Like I said, piranha and malaria. Yeah. It definitely looks like we catch malaria down there. Well, so we could set her down right here. Look at that. That's why we want to stick to the river. Did you bring your pills against mosquito death? No. I have a case of gin back here and a case of tonic water, or tonic soda. So we'll just drink gin and tonics until we no longer have malaria. Problem is, sticking to the river is where all the tribes live on. Yeah. But are there really headhunter tribes still in the Amazons? The whole says, for me, it's about timing. Let's say two people are coming into land and they are landing roughly at the same time. If one person is on CTAF and the other thinks they are far away, you could still be on Unicom. Yeah, so then you're not hearing, and so unless you monitor Unicom, you're not hearing what the other person is doing, and you could have traffic incursions. There are a few of them? Oh, really? Well, let's not run out of fuel. So probably got about another 40 some miles, and so we could start picking up the VOR. That's a good way of doing things, Limp. So you keep CTAF on your main channel and then Unicom on channel 2. And that's actually a really good idea. That way, when you get that mix up, you can at least still hear all the other traffic. But I see the other side of arguments for airports that are next to each other, like JFK and LaGuardia. Yeah, but if you make a proper radio communication and say, you know, JFK traffic, American 556, short final runway 4, JFK, right? So I guess if you don't make a proper, if you're not making proper radio calls, it could get confusing because we're running runway 4 in JFK and landing runway 4 in Newark and landing runway 4 in LaGuardia, and you're all coming in the same direction, and you could think that somebody also is on short final. Well, it said exactly. You're right, and that's why I still not favor CTAF. Yeah. See, we're supposed to monitor guard according to VATSIM rules. You're supposed to have guard on. I don't even think I have guard on. According to VATSIM rules, if you're on Unicom, you're supposed to be on guard. I don't even think this plane dual monitors. Oh, there we go. By the book. That's right. By the book. So we've kind of been fishing around. There we go. We have almost. There we go. We got the VOR and we're right on the money. Look at that, guys. Pretty far out yet. That's why we're getting a little bit of it fishing around. Give it a little bit till it settles in, and then we'll adjust our course to go direct. I'll show you guys how to do that. Looks stable. Oh, yeah, you know, dial that in. All right, with our headwind, it looks like got a 6-degree adjustment for our wind track correction. So we're perfect. We're heading right towards the airport. Nice. And that means we don't have any DMEs, but that means we're probably about 100 miles out. One thing I do know is there's going to be 3 Europeans to start using CTAF frequency now. That's it. I got to head out. I got to go to my class. I hope you have a great rest of your day today. Thank you for streaming. Thank you for joining us. Awesome for you to be here. And yeah, we'll see you. I'll see you around the next one. Still got 40 minutes to go. Let's check our fuel. Looking at just under 100 gallons. That's pretty cool. So in the real plane, this gauge actually, it was a card that would flip in and out. So it kind of flipping the card. I never really paid attention to that. That's pretty cool. All right, so we're just 50 gallons aside. It's 100 gallons. It's just under 600 pounds of fuel. Fuel. Here. Let's bump it up a little bit. You want to know what my last conversation with Wind Control about my EVIS? Yeah. Yeah, what happened with that? I thought they were sending you a new one. Oh boy. Sorry, the warehouse has not received the package yet. So the warehouse is getting resupplied from China. You would think that they would have a small stock of supply that they would have for returns so they could do a quick turnaround. Just checking in. Any chance you could get this resolved at sometime this decade? Oh, wow. Nice. Can't wait to hear what they said about that. He said, please confirm your address and we'll reship the 3N PDC. We'll reship it ASAP. So they had it, right? The 3N PDC, that's the EVIS, right? If they miraculously finally have one in stock? Sometimes you just got to get a little ugly. That's right. That's absolutely right. with tracking information, they know it's on its way. That's what I don't get. Oh, we're waiting to receive it. Now you know I sent it. You have the tracking label. Right? And what warehouse was it going to? Was it going to the Jersey warehouse? Because it don't take 14 days to get there from any point in the U.S. Yeah, it sounds to me like they were doing the old let's blow some sunshine up this guy's. Yeah. Burlington warehouse, come on. One nice thing about it being Jersey warehouse is where I live. When they ship a wind control ships, it's only takes a day or two because they just got to cross the river. But no, it don't take no 14 days to get to Jersey from any point in the U.S. It would take 14 days if you shipped it U.S. Postal Service from Anchorage, Alaska. It wouldn't take 14 days. I was getting to that point where I was going to give you a big fat super chat to go over there and raise hell. Not that far. Not that far from me. Yeah, that wouldn't even have been a whole day for me. That'd have been just a morning. That's funny. I said, that's my correct address, and I really do appreciate you fixing this. I have some things in my cart I'd like to purchase, but wasn't going to do that until you resolve the issue. Thanks again. That's right. You tell them I decided that I was going to build the entire Airbus cockpit, and I have it all in my cart waiting for you to resolve this issue. I tell you what, we should make it no problem. We only got maybe 80 miles left of the trip, so we should be good on fuel. But I tell you what, for these Amazon trips though, I think I'm going to calculate some auxiliary tank fuel for the next one, because it would be a peace of mind to know that I could have some extra fuel just when it gets a little squirrely. And now we got a big headwind. Boy. That was the last thing you said to it. Yeah, you know, and then, you know, the funny thing is, I'm not even trying to get the $13 back you spent to mail it. Yeah. No, I figured that's what you think. Yeah, so you had to create your own shipping label and send it. That's nice. Wind Control, great products. Their distribution and customer service is a little on the lacking side. Now we've got a massive headwind, about 10 knots, which is a big deal for this. I did not expect us to get a headwind. Not needed, but we're going to put the ILS in just to be extra. I could tell half the people I was dealing with the customer service didn't speak English. Well, I mean, they're a Chinese company. I am glad that they decided to put distribution warehouses in the United States, because when I ordered the Airbus FCU, it took me almost a year to get it. I pre-ordered it, so I get that was going to take time, but then the distribution, all of it was coming from China, and took forever to get here. Ordered the MCDU. It was here in 3 days. Your best redneck voice. Better speak. Yeah, well. Certainly easier if they do that. Could turn the tables on them and learn Mandarin. All right, so this is a tributary to the Maraon, Maraon. I'm not very good with other languages. If it was German, I'd be better. But yeah, so this is a tributary. So this comes up and goes right out. So this should be So the Merom River actually turns into the Amazon River. So that's why we started off into the Andes and we're heading down here. We should be at the so the Uruguay and the Marañón rivers combine and turn into the actual start of the Amazon River at this point, at this airport. So that's why we're going here. We're kind of started off at the headwaters rather than the actual river itself. Oh, what's his name? Chowma, New York City is this YouTuber's name. He's actually pretty funny. I like the video of his where he's getting his nails done or whatever at the salon, and they're all making fun of him, and he starts speaking their language back at them. They're like, "Oh, dope." All right, we're really getting low on fuel, guys. I'm not liking this too much. This headwind is killing me. Get there. We're just not going to have very much go around juice. So hopefully we got to make this count. He threw it right in their face. Yeah, it was a good episode. But I am impressed with somebody that learns, because he speaks a lot of languages. I'm learning a language myself. I'm studying German. It's kind of like one of those why nots. I don't think there's any traffic down here. It's been a while since I've been outside the plane. Been monitoring my my fuel situation. Indonesian and Cantonese, Korean. Yeah, that is very talented. I've seen some of his other stuff. Like he went over and learned like obscure dialects of Gaelic and like, you know, obscure native localized languages. It's pretty cool. and he grasps them really easy. All right, so we're landing runway 6, so that's a straight in approach. Let's see where we need to be. 2,000 feet at the intercept. All right, so the missed approach is a climbing left turn to Panjun. We're holding at 3,000. So that's an RNAV missed approach. We're just going to do, because of our fuel situation, especially if we have to go missed, we're going to go just right into a downwind and reattempt the landing visually. Well, the whole thing's going to be visual. Of course, it's marginal VFR. That's probably what that cloud bank is. He said, I think it's funny you think that I can learn Mandarin. My occupation was a manager, and you know the definition of a manager: getting things done through others. That was my motto. Yeah, you got to delegate responsibility, right? All right, so let's go down to 3,000. Nice shallow descent down to 3,000. Let's dial that in just a little bit, just kind of slink it down there. Let's see if I could get under this cloud layer. I honestly don't really want to have to do an ILS approach if I don't have to, because I just don't have the fuel. I need to get on the ground. We're actually getting in a very dire situation here because of this unaccounted headwind. It's what makes mistakes for pilots. It's not a good. I know why I forgot to do. I forgot to put on the Rex Atmos Core haze generator. We're gonna leave that off so I could stay more visual. What am I looking for? I want my flight recorder up. There we go. That's ready to go. That would be my luck. Low on fuel. Front rolling in over the airport. Guess it makes for exciting stream, right? Got to have some dire situation going on. All right, there's 4,000. Do another barrel change, okay? We're going to glide it in from here, not at 3,000 feet. If I was up where Billy's at. We're so low on fuel, I'm going to actually probably add some fuel for the replay so we can keep my engines running for the replay. I have a question. How do you do the barrow thing in real life? So like when we were flying into New Jersey. Well, I just did a magic barrel ref. Well, there's the METARs, right? But what you can do is, so say you're on the ground and there's no weather, you don't have a thing, you could actually set this up. So if you look at your chart and you got the airport elevation, if you dial in the airport elevation, it will actually give you the barrow. Just like that. If you know the barrow, you can find the airport elevation. It works either way. I generally hit the magic button all the time. It's just so convenient, and I've gotten in a habit of doing it. But in real life, if you're on the ground, you can just look at your chart, find out the airport elevation, just dial the airport elevation in, and I'll give you your barometric reading. If you're in the air, I honestly don't know what you do if you don't have what the barometrics is. Hopefully you're visual. So there's coming up on 3,000. We gotta dial you in. Nice rainstorm. Come on, bring it down. Climbing again. That might be the best we get. That's beautiful. I'm glad that I'm not the only one that doesn't know the answer. I was afraid to ask. It sounds stupid. No, I really don't know. I'm sure there's a way. I guess you would try to find the nearest station that has a barrow reference and then guess, or just set that setting and give yourself So common sense, let's look at it this way. So I would try to find the nearest barrow setting. Hopefully it's close enough. And then I would just give myself like 100-foot leeway. That should be close enough. All right, there's the ILS. We're actually right on point with the ILS. $2,300 is actually our intercept altitude. So let's bring that down. We're a little off. There's an estimated 100 to 200 uncontacted or isolated indigenous tribes living in the Amazon, primarily in the remote border regions of Brazil, Peru, and Colombia. So right where we're at. Right where we're at. All right, so this is our ILS. We're going to bring that in. .64 is our course setting. So let's start. So mixtures auto rich. Games 2400. Manifold pressure back to 20. You're down. This ain't no marginal. This is a thunderstorm. Nice. That's awesome. My autopilot just went dead on me. All right, looks like we're hand flying it. We're 900 feet above the ground. Do not have the fuel for this. Oh, there's 1,000 feet. The only thing marginal is the survival rate. Exactly. Let's try to get back on path. This is going to be sketchy. So got to take a little bit of concentration. Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually going to shut that off because it's a little distracting. You know what? What the hell? There's no park on these things. All right, I got the runway. Nice, good deal. Flaps half. Even better yet, party music. That's right. Let's get it in. If you're gonna crash in the jungle on an approach, which is pretty common with these planes, you should be listening to party music. Just want to make sure That's up and running. All right, we got the runway in sight. Bring the power back. We're just dumping gas. Just dumping gas. All right, you can go down to 3/4 flaps down above 112. Once you have to be below 112 to go full flaps. But I don't know what happened. My autopilot just stopped working and I dove for the jungle. All right, there's full flaps. So we're looking for about 90 to 85 on the approach. Give it a little more power. Squeaking it in across the trees. I don't know why I'm losing too much energy. What the hell? I have everything full. Nope, we're going in. Do not know what that was. Jack Collins and Jane Wilder, I'll find you. We'll smoke weed in the backyard playing now. Yeah. All right, let's... Was it that we ran out of fuel? That's what it is, guys. We ran out of fuel. We ran out of fuel. Never knew the skeleton in the front seat had a name now. I know it's John. I think that's our first crash, guys. We ran out of fuel. Did not make it. All right. Well, we know what happened. So I'm going to actually cheat a little bit because we're going to do the landing, but we know this was a fail. There it is, guys. We ran out of fuel. That headwind did us in. Headwind did us in. All right, we have gas now. Let's we're doing some cheating. We know how this ended, so we're just going to play now. All right, let's reset, and then we'll land. Let's see. I never knew. Let's see. Though these are all Romancing the Stone quotes. If you've never seen the movie, then you will get it. Oh yeah, I've seen it. Seen it. What's his name? Michael Douglas. Uh, Kathleen Turner. Oh yeah. I'm still curious to see how you guys are going to refuel that plane there in the middle of the jungle. It was magic. It was the magic of Flight Simulator. So, guys, this is what happens when you miscalculate your winds and you don't take enough fuel. So this flight was always a one-way trip. It wasn't supposed to be, but yeah, it ended up being that way, right? All right, let's climb up away from the jungle a little bit. Now we got fuel and power. Yep. I didn't even realize. I thought we had a little bit, but we were running on fumes apparently. Just gonna close you out. That was useless. All right, we have to be better on our fuel, guys. We have to be better on our fuel. All right, let's go find the ILS. So at least we can get on our runway track, right? All right, back on approach. Tried to work the plane. Thought maybe it was icing. Didn't get that far in the checklist. We were too low to the ground to realize that we were out of fuel. But it happens. This is why it's flight sim. All right, flaps half. Gear is down. Mixture full rich or auto rich. Runway's in sight. Let's line back up. So I really wasn't lying when I said it was critical low fuel. Critical low fuel. Should have made it though. I don't know why it was dumping more fuel. Had to be some kind of user error. All right, there we can go flaps full. Below 112. bit of a crosswind. Tail draggers hate crosswinds. Come on, no. Like I said, tail draggers hate crosswinds. We kept it fairly centerline there for most of the part. All right, tail wheel unlocked. Are those Honeycomb Bravo controls? Yes, they are. Yeah, for the DC-3, you got them off of ProDessim. And Hype Motor, welcome to the stream and chat. You caught our landing, which was the second attempt. First attempt, we ran out of gas. I have the Alpha. I support both the Alpha and the Bravo. Said I need this. I haven't seen Microsoft Flight Simulator in a few years. Oh, nice. Well, welcome to the stream. All right, we're gonna pull up here and give it a stop. Differential braking, some power. Yeah, you're kind of in the way. Park, break off for a second. All right, guys, welcome to Iquitos. I'm going to stop the recording. All right, guys. Well, that was fun, and we learned a very valuable lesson that you always have to plan for a little bit of extra fuel just in case you run into some headwinds and the weather changes, which it did. It was supposed to be not this. But we'll do better for the next leg, which will not today, but anyway, leg 1 done. What was the name of that airport? Pachepos, Peru to Iquitos. I butchered them, but anyway. Doug said, don't die on the approach. Got it. Yes. Lesson number 1, when landing the plane, don't die on the approach. So, all right. Let's check out that landing, and then I got to get going, guys. But this one was interesting. Pause the replay. We'll bring it up. This one we didn't die on the approach. Hopefully by the next flight I'll have some sort of livery done. Oh, that would be cool. That livery looked really good. Yeah, everything would have been good. We just didn't run out of fuel. That's a big thing. Can't run out of fuel. I knew it. I had a bad feeling 80 miles out from this airport when I saw that fuel gauge. I thought maybe we could just do it, just inch it in there, but nope. It's just a proof of concept. That's right. That's right. Always have some fuel in your auxiliary tanks, guys. All right, guys. Did we bounce? Did we bounce? I don't know. So 153. 153 we're landing. That tail down. You want in a crosswind, you really want to get that tail down a lot sooner. You see how we started cantering all over the place. That's tail dragger 101. Even if it's bad enough, you even could do a 3-point landing. Like I didn't need to do that nice butter landing, or the attempt at a butter landing anyway. You want to get that tail wheel on there, because the tail wheel lock is going to prevent the plane from going all over the place there. But that's it. That's it for this first leg. It's awesome. We got so I figured it's about 7 legs to get across the Amazon. All right, we'll run this back. I want to thank everyone for joining me in flight. Thank Billy for flying along. It was a lot of fun. And everybody in chat, appreciate the conversation as always. We had Limp Rocketeer, Drunk Billy, USA Priority 1 came in. That was awesome. Haven't seen him in a while. And new to the chat, Hypermotor. Hopefully that's right. And welcome to the stream. If you haven't already, hit that like button, guys. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. But we're going to move on from this. Thank you very much. And I'll keep you guys posted in Discord about tomorrow's live stream. It's probably going to get moved to Saturday, unless things change. If the grandbaby don't come, then of course we'll take our Comanche down to the Outer Banks in North Carolina. But until then, I'll see you guys on Virtual Flight Diaries. My name is John. On to the next one. See ya.